champions! Champions of Europe finally! History made in Istanbul! The treble complete! The greatest story in club history has ended! And what a final chapter!
Good morning, Blues. Manchester City have got all 3 points. And that's what we needed. That is what we needed. But I cannot deny that there are some mixed signals being sent out by this Manchester City side. Kind of like every first day I've ever been on. Except Manchester City, unlike me, are not coming away empty-handed. They're not coming away empty-handed. They're getting what they want. They're getting the results. They're bedding the results. They're doing all right. They're doing all right on the league table. But I think the optimist will look at it and say, yeah, like I've just said, we're winning the games. We're winning every game. No problem. But the pessimist will look at it and go, hang on a minute, we're not winning comfortably. We're scraping over the line. We're just about getting there. 1-0 here and 1-0 there. You know, I think you need to have a bit of... look at it a bit pragmatically, with a little bit of perspective. I like to think that Manchester City are going to go forward for the rest of the season with some strength. I think we'll find our form a little bit later into the season. Maybe when we hit game 30, those final 8 games of the season, you might start seeing City turning the screw a little bit, increasing the performances, and as a result of those increased performances, you'll see increased goal difference as well. The 3s and 4s that Arsenal and Liverpool seem to be quite comfortably putting past their opponents. And I think that's why I think there's a little bit of unease in the City fan base right now, is because we're looking at our rivals a little bit too much. I doubt Pep Guardiola or the players are doing that. I hope they're not, because it's only going to fill us with a little bit of nerves and anxiety going into these games, which I'm hoping is not the case, because I do believe that there's more to come from this City side, and there is positives coming out of the game, in the Bournemouth game, but there were a few little moments that, growing concerns. But let's have a look at... I keep doing that every time I do that, don't I? Bear with me 1 second. Let's see if we can... No, it's not working. There we go. Match stats. Does it every time. It decides to turn on to my starting soon screen. But there we go. Match stats. 38% possession for Bournemouth, which I think is higher than a lot of teams have achieved. I thought they took the game to us really well yesterday, Bournemouth. I think we need to give a bit of credit to them. I felt like they, in particular that last 20 minutes of the game, I thought Bournemouth were all right, you know. Taking the game to us, 62% for City. So other than the possession stats, though, the rest of the game looks pretty even, doesn't it? It does look a little bit alarming how many shots Bournemouth were able to get on our goal. And that's the mixed signals we're getting, because I felt like we actually controlled the game for the first hour. I mean, in particular, the first half. I felt like we did all right. We did all right, more than all right. I felt like the midfield was solid. Lots of space, which we're not normally afforded. But we made the most of that space, created enough chances to come away at half-time. You're thinking half-time should be 2-0. Should be 2-0. But 13 shots for Bournemouth to Manchester City's 15. 4 shots on target for Bournemouth to our 6. They were just under a goal in terms of XG, whereas we underperformed slightly. And I think you can see those big chances there. 3 of those, just a spoiler alert, Erling Haaland. 3 of those were Erling Haaland, and he missed all 3. And I'll get onto him shortly. 351 passes to our 582. We've been hitting 700 passes lately, so maybe not as much control. It's that last 20 minutes. I felt like a lot of their domination and Bournemouth's threat came in that final 20 minutes. Following the substitutions as well, which is even more frustrating. 14 fouls to our 6 and 2 yellow cards each. I've pressed the wrong button again. There you go. I'm terrible at this, aren't I? But little spoiler alert there. You can rewind and see the scores for Haaland there. But let's move on to Ederson, who I thought was brilliant. Fantastic. And we're talking about Ederson now in a more traditional sense. Do you know what I mean? In a more goalkeeping traditional sense, because his distribution was 19 attempted long balls, with 10 being accurate isn't actually that bad at all. 74% for a goalkeeper is okay, because a lot of those are going to go out for throw-ins, and it becomes down to the aerial duels, doesn't it? I mean, if you're sending it long ball and Haaland's not winning his headers, then Ederson gets the blame for the long balls not being quite as accurate. So these stats are a little bit easily manipulated, but still, when it comes to goalkeeping, delivered. Ederson absolutely delivered for me yesterday with that one save at, what was it, a 0-0 I think it was at the time, right after Haaland misses his one-on-one that Phil Foden sent him through. He misses that, up the other end, Kirkes with an unbelievable strike that was weaving, and it was everywhere. It was bending, it was curving. Ederson did so well to get a big right hand on that, kept it at 0-0. As you can see, 4 saves, 1 punch, 1 high claim, 2 out of 2 run-outs was successful. For me, 8.5. 8.5 out of 10. I was really, really impressed by Ederson's goalkeeping performance yesterday. So, and he did well. I think I gave him man of the match against Brentford. So, this man is delivering for us right now. And 2 clean sheets as well. The fact that he got a clean sheet as well absolutely helps his score. Now, moving on, Ruben Diaz. It worked. It bloody worked. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ruben Diaz. He worked pretty well yesterday. I thought he did all right. Yeah, 3. There you go. Young 4, 3 clean sheets in our last 4. Yeah, mate, absolutely stepping up. The defence has a factor in that. So it's not always down to the keeper, is it? But this man in front of him, Ruben Diaz, I thought he was good. I thought he was really good. Eddie is stepping up to the plate to me. Completely agree, mate. But I think he needs to give a... Not too much, because, I mean, the shot stopping yesterday was what stood Ederson out. But in front of him, he's had Ruben Diaz, who's also played quite well lately, in my opinion. Not as well as previous games yesterday. Dealt with Solanke reasonably well. And far from a bad performance from Ruben Diaz. But, you know, he was all right. He was good. I thought he was pretty solid in there. 57 touches, 90% passing accuracy, two tackles, 4 clearances, which I imagine a majority of them came in that second half when crosses started coming into the box. A little bit too frequently for my liking. 3 ground duels, he won 2 of them, and he didn't win any of his aerial duels, unfortunately, which isn't, you know, Ruben Diaz does tend to do all right in the air. But still, an interception to his name as well. 7 out of 10 for Ruben Diaz. Now, moving on to Manuel Akanji, who is just becoming the ever-reliable Manuel Akanji, constantly being depended on by Pep Guardiola, and he delivers. Frequently delivers. Again, 90 minutes played, 78 touches, 89% passing accuracy. These defensive numbers are brilliant. Look at that. Look at these numbers here. 3 tackles, 2 interceptions. He won 4 out of his 5 ground duels. He got 4 clearances, the same as Ruben Diaz, and he blocked a shot as well. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was really good. Really, really good. Manuel Akanji, 7.5 out of 10 for me. Pleased with, you know, especially knowing that he's been popping in and out of midfield as well. I think he's back in his a bit more familiar territory, and I was glad Pep put Stones ahead of him in midfield, and Manuel Akanji doing what he does best, defending, and he's not bad in midfield. He's not bad, but I prefer John Stones. I even more prefer Kovacic. But seeing Akanji in the right position, I don't think it's a coincidence that he played well. Now, Nathan Ake, someone who I love, adore. Nathan Ake, he had probably one of the worst games of his season for me. Still not terrible, but I thought Semenyo just ran him dirty down that right wing. He really struggled. And I'm surprised, I'm going to jump straight to the dribbled past. I'm surprised he's only 1 dribbled past. It felt like more. Now, I don't think being dribbled past counts when you slip, because there was one of those moments in the second half where he slipped. And that's just unfortunate. You can't really say, oh, Nathan Ake, what you doing there? That was terrible. He just slipped. I'm not sure that goes down as the dribbled past. But Semenyo was giving him a tough time. A really tough time. And I think he did struggle occasionally. There was moments he blocked a couple of crosses coming in from Semenyo, but not his greatest performance. You can see by the numbers as well, it wasn't his greatest day at the office. 72 touches. His passing accuracy is never that low. Never that low. 75%. 1 tackle, he's normally higher than that. Like I said, he was dribbled past, no clearances. 3 out of 7 aerial duels won, and he's normally a lot higher in ground duels as well. He's only won 2 out of the 6 that he attempted. And I think a lot of credit needs to be given to Semenyo, who I thought played really well down that right wing. I thought he played really well. 2 out of 6 ground duels won, and 6 out of 10 for Nathan Ake. John Stones, okay in midfield. He did everything simple. Everything John Stones he did was quite simple. There was a couple of nice runs that he did in the first half, where he got to the byline. I would have liked to have seen John Stones, deliver a better cross into the box, but the run that he made, often found by Bernardo Silva on that right side, into that inner channel, in between centre-back and full-back. John Stones was brave, pushing forward and bold with his positioning. And I thought he was all right. When he had to do the simple things, he always did the right thing. It was always simple, 5-yard, 10-yard pass. There wasn't anything glamorous from John Stones' performance yesterday. Nothing glamorous. It was very, very simple, which is why I've given him a 6.5. But he did everything okay. 87% passing accuracy, 2 out of 2 aerial duels won, no clearances, no tackles, 1 interception, and he never gets involved in that many ground duels. He's a thinker. He's a thinker, isn't he? He uses his mind to defend, not his body. Does John Stones, but 2 ground duels and he won 1 of them. I thought he was all right. In midfield. Now, next man, Rodri. Yeah, I thought he was decent. I thought similar to John Stones, just that extra level of quality that Rodri provides. There's no midfielder in the world like him for me right now. Not the best performance from Rodri, but still more than good enough. And it's like the minimum we've come to expect from Rodri was that type of performance. And he's just so good, isn't he? Just so good. I mean, last night, not as good as he could be. Still, absolutely rock solid in that midfield. 99 touches. 95% passing accuracy, a key pass, 1 dribble that wasn't successful, an aerial duel that he won, 3 out of 7 ground duels were won. It was okay, and he only lost the ball 6 times as well, which is, when I say lost the ball, possession was lost, thanks to Rodri rather, 6 times, which is very low for him. Normally he's a lot higher than that, giving the ball away, but still, solid performance for me. Rodri, 7 out of 10. Who's next? We've got Matheus Nunes, who I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about him. I know a lot of City fans haven't warmed to him yet. I have. I'm one of the City fans that's warmed to him. I'm very much a fan of Matheus Nunes. I think he's a little bit loosey-goosey with the ball occasionally. I like his style. I like his approach to the game. I like his aggressiveness. He's just thunders his way through that pitch, doesn't he? I love everything about his style. He's so forthright with his movement, and you can see with the numbers that, as well as the versatility as well. The numbers are great from the fact that he had to play on the left wing, which is a new position for him. So we've seen him in defensive midfield, central midfield, attacking midfield, right wing at 10 minutes in the second half against Everton, and then 63 minutes against Bournemouth on the left wing. So we've got another midfielder that can offer us that malleable, versatility that we've all craved from every midfielder in a Pep Guardiola squad. He's delivering in that regard. He's not delivering in terms of assists and goals. He's not adding anything glamorous or headline grabbing. He's not doing that, but there's signs there. There is lots of positive signs from Matheus Nunes, and I thought we looked worse when he left the pitch. Don't think it's a coincidence that from his substitution appearance, Jeremy Doku comes on and he didn't do anything that Matheus Nunes wasn't already delivering. He was delivering Matheus Nunes down that left side. For me, as you can see, 5 dribble attempts, 3 were successful. 4 crosses, 2 were successful. 1 key pass. He maintained the ball really well with 85% passing accuracy, 47 touches to his name. 6 out of 11 ground duels were won. There's your aggression. And he only gave the ball away 11 times. For me, 7 out of 10 is just because if he did the full 90, I wouldn't be surprised if he had some further impact on that game that could have been an assist, could have been a goal. Hypothetical. There was half an hour of the game still to go and he comes off. I don't think it worked out, that substitution for me. 63 minutes, 7 out of 10. Could have been a higher score had he played the full game. Kovacic, really another player for me who's just, not every City fan has warmed to him. I haven't put him on the screen here. There you go. He's on the screen for you now. Kovacic, he's someone who I believe is got a vital role to play for the rest of this season in that midfield. Someone, we talk about control. That word control is often thrown around when talking about Manchester City and Manchester City's midfield. Him and Rodri together should be dictating any midfield in world football right now, because I think Rodri has that solidity. I think Kovacic's ability to control the ball. I thought it was a brilliant performance from Kovacic. I really do. And again, no headline grabbing, nothing fancy, nothing, glamorous from his performance, but it was just great. It was great. It was a joy to watch Kovacic yesterday. I loved watching that performance, and I think he's got, like I said, big role to play for the rest of the season. Again, someone who comes off the pitch and we looked worse once he'd left. Kevin De Bruyne came on and I think it opened us up even more. And in that final 10 minutes, including stoppage time, they created majority of their chances. And anytime that ball had an opportunity to be controlled by Manchester City's midfield, we didn't have that same level of control, in my opinion. 8 out of 10 for me. Kovacic, I thought he was brilliant. 84 minutes, 57 touches, 95% passing accuracy. There's your control. A key pass, big chances created. There you go. He's delivering in terms of chance creation. That key pass was the key pass to Haaland, who gets his shot away. That little dink over the back line, seeing the vision, the awareness. Haaland's run was like bang. It was a great run from Erling Haaland to get into that channel. Kovacic saw it in an instant because he was on his bike straight away, Erling Haaland, and he saw it so quickly. Kovacic read the game, read the situation, dinks it right into the path, just over the shoulder of Erling Haaland, lets it run across his body, gets his shot away, Phil Foden tap in, all from this man. Kovacic pulling strings in midfield yesterday really well. Aggressiveness as well. 6 out of 9 ground duels were won. Dribbling, his ability to carry the ball, sometimes from the edge of his own box, bursting on all the way to the halfway line, whether it's winning a free kick or finding what was yesterday a white shirt in our away kit. 3 dribbles, 2 were successful, and similar to Rodri, he only gave the ball away 6 times. 8 out of 10 for me for Mateo Kovacic. Moving on to man of the match, Phil Foden. Has to be Phil Foden. 8.5 out of 10 for me. That goal is a big 0.5 of that score for me. He was everywhere. I thought he was absolutely sensational yesterday, Phil Foden. I don't think it's a coincidence that Pep Guardiola was talking about him again in such glowing terms. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant, and he feels like he's gone from boy to man. Pep said those words. It does feel like he's a man today, doesn't it? You know, it feels like we've got an absolute superstar mentally up here as well. You know, he looks like he believes he's the bee's knees. You know, he's the man. He's the one. He is him. Phil Foden believes he is him now. You know, he's not living in the shadows of Kevin De Bruyne's anymore, or David Silva's when he first started playing. Like, he was looking up to those guys. He is those guys now. He's that guy. He's that good for me, and he's delivered from start to finish from the... There's been the odd game where Foden's been a little bit anonymous, and more often than not, it's been when he's played on the right. When he's played centrally, he's had impact on every game pretty much I can think of. You know, every game. Even if it's not a goal or an assist. A little bit loosey-goosey with his passing yesterday. 75% passes. There was a couple that were going a bit astray. Could bump that up a little bit and being a bit critical there. But 4 key passes, 4 shots, 3 on target, 8 ground duels. Aggressive as well. 5 were won. 4 dribble attempts, 2 completed. There's your loosey-goosey, by the way. Yeah, possession lost 27, but he was aggressive with the ball, and that's what you get with players that are as aggressive and play as aggressive as the Nunez's of this world. And De Bruyne as well, he's aggressive with his thinking. You know, when I say aggressive, I don't mean aggressive like going out swinging, punching people and elbowing people. I mean aggressive with how forward you pass the ball. How aggressive do you want to be in trying breaking lines, midfield lines, defensive lines? How aggressive do you want to be with the ball? Not just with your defensive aggression, you know. But he delivered in both types of aggression yesterday, Phil Foden did, with ground duels and the attempted passes. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's got 4 key passes to his name. Bursting forward as well. He saw Erling Haaland. He didn't sit around thinking Erling Haaland's going to bury that. He got on his bike, got into the 6-yard box, instinctually predicted that there might be something to gobble up here. There might be a free tap in. And that's what exactly happened. That was instinctual play from Phil Foden. Really good number 10 football from our player of the season so far. Let's have it right. Our player of the season so far, and he's delivering. Love what I'm seeing from Phil Foden. 8.5, man of the match for Felipe. Kevin De Bruyne, I thought, you know, I felt like that was not the game to... Yeah, is he injured? I want to know what Pep's doing here, you know. And it brings me on to the whole subject of Pep's post-match interview. I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of what he was saying, he was like, they were Supermans. I don't know why they weren't Supermen. They were Supermans yesterday. But, yeah, the Supermans, I think he was talking about fitness. You know, he kept talking about the preparation, that Bournemouth had 7 days to prepare. City had 3 days to prepare. Talking about injuries and maintaining levels of fitness. The fact that he seemed to hint that he was forced to play Kovacic and Nunez, and certain players needed resting. You know, Alvarez... that he was sort of hinting at that a little bit, that other players might have played if there'd been a bigger rest period between the 2 games. If De Bruyne is one of those players, though, why are you bringing him on, Pep? he came on and he looked a bit laboured. He looked a bit pedestrian. He also said after the game against Brentford that De Bruyne didn't start because he's got a niggle in his hamstring. Well, why is he on the bench? I've said this numerous times. If he ain't fit, don't play him. And he came onto the pitch and he played like an unfit player. He didn't move as well. There was one opportunity that I think, for some reason, it seemed like Phil Foden was getting the blame in stoppage time, almost last kick of the game, almost. It should have been 2-0, where Phil Foden goes through and he slots in De Bruyne. De Bruyne took an age to get his shot away. Now, I think De Bruyne turned to him and said, that pass was slow, Phil. If you fired that into me, I could have got my shot away a bit quicker. He might have a point, but still, you can come to the ball, You don't have to wait for it, Kevin. Go to it, mate. Step across, get onto it. Show some aggression, get onto the ball and get your shot away. He waited for the defender and, there was moments in the midfield that, we're talking about 14 minutes of football as well, so I might be being a bit critical to how much of an impact can you have in 14 minutes of football. Very little, very little. But I'm surprised Pep brings him on, because Kovacic was doing the job of controlling that midfield, and he brought on De Bruyne, who isn't a controlling player. He's an aggressive assist finder. He uses his radar to find players aggressively. He's not someone who'll pass it 5 yards to the side and keep the ball moving, simple possession football like that. He's aggressive. He goes forward with it, whereas Kovacic was keeping the ball. And we started to be really loose with it once he came onto the pitch, and I don't think that's a coincidence either. If he's not fit, though, don't play him. It's not his fault. It's not De Bruyne's fault if he's not fit. I'm surprised at what's going on there. I think there's something fishy going on there. I'm worried. Don't play him, Pep, if he's not fit. That's my message. But 13 touches, 88% passing accuracy, no key passes, one cross, one aerial duel that he did win. Well done there. 3 ground duels, and he won one of them, and he only lost the ball 5 times. But that was in 14 minutes of football. Kovacic lost it 6 times in 64 minutes of football. Do you see what I mean? Talking about control, 64 minutes of football, and he only lost the ball 1 more times than Kevin De Bruyne did in 14 bloody minutes. So it's not De Bruyne's fault. That's not his game. He's ahead of Kovacic up the pitch in terms of he's better in the final third, not in the middle. De Bruyne, nah, not for me. 6 out of 10 for De Bruyne. Who's next? Doku, another ineffectual substitution that I felt was wrong, didn't have the impact that was required, and he had a lot more time to do it. Nearly half an hour of football he had against Bournemouth yesterday, and we looked worse with him on the pitch. I thought Núñez was delivering down that left-hand side, and as you can see, Núñez, just to remind you, had 5 dribble attempts, of which 3 were successful. Doku had 4, of which only 1 was successful. And this is what I'm talking about, the mixed signals. That's what the headlines of this video is all about, is those mixed signals. There is such an inconsistency to so many of our players right now. Erling Haaland, I've not even gotten to him yet. Don't talk about inconsistency yet. There's very few that are delivering week in, week out. Ederson at the minute is delivering week in, week out. Ruben Diaz is delivering. We haven't seen enough of Kovacic to say that he's delivering, but every time he comes on or plays, he is delivering, but he goes 3 games without getting a single minute at times. Same for Núñez. Should we be playing these players that... Núñez and Kovacic, for me, deserve something for their performances yesterday. They deserve something. Minutes, in other words. 90% passing accuracy from Doku is really good, but 4 dribble attempts, only which 1 was successful. He gave the ball away a couple of times in really dangerous situations, but in credit to Jeremy Doku, he got back on one of them, won the ball back really, really well, and I was impressed by how he got back, and he didn't stand around and go, oh shit, I better let Nathan Ake deal with that. I'll let him handle those problems. He got back and he won the ball, so fair play, but it was your mistake to begin with, so had to be done. 1 cross that wasn't accurate, 2 ground duels were 1 out of the 6 that he attempted, and he lost the ball 7 times. For me, a little bit on the harsh side, but I'm going to stick with it. 5.5 for Jeremy Doku. Bernardo Silva, really good, controlled, right midfield performance that drifted in a little bit occasionally. I thought he was unlucky not to come away with something like an assist or potentially a goal. He had that one opportunity in the first half that he whipped just past the post. But again, he was solid in that right-hand side, very effective with his style of play. You can see the numbers back him up really well. Good defensively as well. There's a couple of stats that I can't fit on that graphic because I can only fit so many. I'm pretty sure he got a tackle and a clearance to his name as well. 2 interceptions as well. So defensively, I thought he was all right. Good to see you in the chat as well. I haven't spoke to some of you, but yeah, Hunter, Lachel Blue, Timmy, young forward, devious duck. Devious, mate, you promised me. I've been waiting to speak to you. You promised me a Newcastle win against Arsenal. You said 100% guarantee that Newcastle will beat Arsenal. Well, your guarantees mean nothing to me anymore, my friend. So you're done. Bloody 4-1. They wiped the floor with them. So, but yeah, keep them coming, mate. I do want to hear your guarantees in future. What's your guarantee for the rest of the season, mate? That's what I want to know. Hots hits as well. Good to see you. Douglas Wright, Hayden, Thobo, and Try Hard, Skelly. Yeah, good to see you guys. Sticking with Bernardo Silva, though, 7.5 for me. Aggressive performance again with ground jewels. 6 out of 9 won. Really good. 3 key passes. Great. 5 dribbles, 3 were completed. Same as Mateus Nunes on the other side of the pitch. 20 times lost the ball, a little bit loose. But again, that level of aggression from Bernardo Silva. Equal performance to Nunes, really, except he got to play the full 90 minutes, whereas Nunes didn't. But yeah, another typical Bernardo Silva performance for me. Pretty good, pretty good. You know, who's next? Alvarez. Little to talk about, really. I was glad to see him come onto the pitch and play up front. It made sense. That was a little hint of the future, little warning from Pep, I think. I think Pep was saying to Haaland, you're missing chances, mate. You've cost us not cost us anything because we won the game, but you cost us the feel-good factor of a 2-0 win or a 3-0 win. That's what's cost us. That feeling right now is like, oh, we're dangerously... We're living on the edge. The ice is thinning for Manchester City with performances like this and results like this. It's like 1-0's great. Oh, yeah, clean sheet, 3 points. It could have been 3 or 4-0. It could have been 2-3-0 before half-time had Erling Haaland taken his chances. He got a clear-cut opportunity in the second half as well. Alvarez had 15 minutes of football to play, but that was a little warning, I think, to Pep. It's like, right, look, Alvarez, I know he's been playing midfield all season. He is a striker. And he's coming on for your spot, Erling. He is taking your number 9 spot for the next 15 minutes of this game. He didn't do much, Alvarez. He had little opportunity to actually do anything because that moment, he was actually more defensively minded. He was getting back. He was on the edge of our own box at times, tackling and clearing the ball. I thought he was good, Alvarez, in that regard. His work rate is what we needed. So that was one substitution that made sense to me and didn't have any sort of negative impact where we didn't really offer anything with Doku down that left side. We lost control when De Bruyne came onto the pitch. Alvarez provided some sort of tenacity and at least a bit of work rate that was causing some sort of problem for Bournemouth to stop them, you know, and building up and pressing reasonably well. He's not going to come on the pitch when Bournemouth were throwing everything at us. We had very little opportunities to actually score in the 15 minutes that he was on the pitch for, other than that one De Bruyne opportunity. But 12 touches, 100% passing accuracy. No key passes, a cross that wasn't accurate, a dribble that wasn't successful, 2 ground jewels that weren't won. So those numbers aren't great, but I felt like there's not much I can really have a go at him about or praise him at the same time. But 3 times he lost the ball, 6 out of 10 for Alvarez. Erling Haaland, mate. It's just another frustrating performance. I said it at the end of the watch-along, and thanks to those that joined me in that watch-along as well as the match reaction as well. Consistency, mixed signals. You know, it's like, come on, mate. The chances that he had yesterday had to take one of them. He had to take one of them. That's his job. That's what he's on the pitch for. And his score every week, his player ratings, is always going to be impacted by that. It's always going to look at the number of goals that he gets is going to reflect his score more often than not, because that's pretty much his entire game. His entire game is putting it in the back of the net. He doesn't want to do the Alvarez dirty work. He doesn't want to get back on the edge of the area. He even was given a new job yesterday that was a bit foreign to him. I felt like drifting out on the right wing. It looked quite good. I like that idea because it opened up a big pocket of space. Because whether it was Senesi or Zabani, the 2 centre-backs for Bournemouth were being dragged out to that right wing where Kirkes was there. I'm thinking, well, I've got to mark Haaland. We're playing man-to-man. We're playing man-to-man football here, and the man I'm marking is on the right wing. What's he doing over there? Kirkes or whoever it was, Zabani or Senesi, had to go over and mark him. And that's when Phil Foden came into his own and found that abundance of space. And if you remember that first attempt from Haaland, he came in from that right side when Foden came over the top of him. That unbelievable touch from Foden to poke it with his toe just into the path of Haaland. Haaland had drifted in from that right side, created that space. So that was a nice little tactical move from Pep, that was, to use Haaland as a bit of a hybrid right midfielder almost, which was very unusual to see from Erling Haaland. And it worked for little spells in the game, created opportunities, one big one for the big man. One big one, and he fluffed it. He absolutely fluffed it. I thought, could he have cut back? He had a defender coming to him. Could he have cut back and chopped it onto his left foot and then had a better attempt on goal? Because it is with his weaker foot. He wasn't a million miles away, but it still went wide of the mark. You know, he's not even hitting the target, so that's a problem. That's a problem. Last week, he gets man of the match for me because he wins the game for Manchester City with his goal, his one and only goal. Manchester City's one and only goal came from this man. Week before that, unbelievable horror show where he missed the goal horribly against Chelsea. Week before that, 2 goals against Everton, man of the match performance again. Mixed signals. We need to plateau these performances. We can't have these peaks and troughs and spikes and dips from Erling Haaland. We need Mr. Consistency right now. It's at the business end of the season. He's got to start frequently putting it into the back of the net. We can't have this amount of big chances missed. As you can see on his graphic, 3 big chances missed. It's too wayward. I've given him a 5. Might be a bit harsh, but there were moments where he showed glimpses of number 9 play that were all right. Edge of the box link-up play. There was a couple of 1-2s. He sort of self-made his second opportunity in that second half. It was a 1-2 with Bernardo Silva, where he just great number 9 play. He hits him in the chest, brings it down, lays it to Bernardo Silva, spins, 180 spin, gets into in behind Senesi. Bernardo Silva feeds him. And it was a good tackle from Kerkez, in fairness to Haaland. It was a great tackle, but the chance hadn't gone then either. Kerkez's tackle killed the big opportunity for Haaland, but the ball still just drifted a little bit, made the chance a little bit harder, onto his left foot still. I still feel like he could have done a bit better with it. I still feel like he could have been a bit better with it. But yeah, AK, Haaland is a bit off, but still our top scorer. That's always going to be the argument for Haaland. It always will be the argument for Haaland, that Haaland and Lachel Blue, yeah, Haaland link-up was good. Like I just described, it was good at times. But he's on the pitch to put it in the back of the net, mate. And we're talking about yesterday. We're not talking about what he's done for the rest of the season. I know he is our top scorer. There's no denying that. They're very obvious stats. But we're talking about Bournemouth. We're talking about the fact that one day, not one day, it's already happened. The chances he missed against Chelsea cost us 2 points. You know, let's have it right. That cost us 2 points. We can't paper over cracks. We can't praise him when he deserves it, but ignore the criticism when he deserves criticism. Equally the other way, we can't criticise him when he deserves criticism, but go quiet when he bags it into the back of the net. There are too many fans out there that are like that for me, and I can't stand it. And it's not just Manchester City's fan base. This is a football worldwide fan habit. It's a habitual thing for fans to be like that, you know, like they have favourite players that they will defend to the hills, and they will say no bad words about them. And you will not get that on this channel. You won't get that. I will criticise him when he deserves criticising, and I will praise him when he deserves praising. I gave him man of the match against Brentford. I gave him man of the match against Everton. I was buzzing with his performances because that's the Erling Haaland I've grown to love and adore. But the Chelsea performance and this performance yesterday, why is this too many? Why is it so varied? Why is the two ends of the spectrum so big? And for me, it is just about chances. If he puts one in the back of the net yesterday, we're talking about a different performance. That's how the fine margins of Erling Haaland's standards is. If it goes that side of the post, he's had a bad game. I'm sorry, but it's true. If it goes that side of the post, he's had a good game. And it's really brutal. That's a brutal standard to be held to. But that's the standards he's set himself. He's set that by being that type of player. That's who he is, the goal scorer. And if the goal scorer is not scoring goals, then what is he? Answer that question. Someone answer me that question. If the goal scorer isn't scoring goals, then what is he? He's almost ineffective. It's pointless. You know, there was some good link-up play. I will give you that. Absolutely agreed. Totally good. There was moments where he linked up with Foden as well. He got an assist because that shot was saved. He forced that. So let's give credit where credit's due. That was a good effort. I mean, he didn't connect with it very well. It was a bit of a slice. An easy one for Neto to save. And it's more about the Kovacic pass, that goal, than anything. But he did well to let it run across his body. He also did well to get the shot away, parried out. Phil Foden did better. Normally, you'd think roles reversed normally, isn't it? It's normally Phil Foden making that type of run. He would get the shot away, and Haaland's just sniffing around, living off the scraps of rebounds, and Haaland gets a tap in. That's normally the other way, isn't it? It's normally the other way, but he'll be back next week. He'll probably score 2, maybe 3 against United. And we'll be sitting there going like, what a superstar Erling Haaland is. I always guarantee he'll score against United. In fact, I'm going to say it right now. He's going to score against United. I don't give a shit about jinxes and things like that. I don't believe in that nonsense, to be honest. I believe that this man will score against Erling Haaland. That's what I'm saying. If Haaland doesn't score, we are in effect playing with 10 men. Harsh, but it is what I think, Douglas, right? I'm in a complete agreement with you. I completely agree with you. But the effect of when he does score is like, wow. You know, that goal against Everton from the corner that was bobbling around in the penalty area. Bang! Just takes it instinctually. It's almost like he doesn't want time. He doesn't want to have to think about it. Don't make him think about it, because his instincts are better than his thought processes at times. Does that make sense? You know, when he's got time to think about it, he might overthink it. You know, whereas if it's just like, there's only one option here and I'm just going to twat it with my right foot and leather it, volley. Beautiful goal that was against Everton. Jordan Pickford does get a hand to it still, but too much power. Too quick with his shot. I thought it was good. I thought it was good against Everton. A lot of players are like that, Douglas. Foden plays 10. Alvarez false 9 was strong duo. There is an element of me that's thinking that Erling Haaland isn't far away from being dropped for Alvarez. I mean, let's give Alvarez another chance up front. Potentially. Not against United. I think Erling Haaland, the fact that Erling Haaland hasn't scored, like I said, it always bodes well for City in the next game. But really, I do think this guy's going to end up being the top Premier League goal scorer and probably win us a trophy in doing so. And at the end of the season, we'll go, well, he's done it again. Not quite to the standards of last season. Maybe defenders are making life so hard for him to actually get opportunities, because he's not just being man-marked by a player. He's being double teamed, sometimes treble teamed by players, you know. And it's not easy doing that, but that's his game. You know, he's slammed his flag, he's planted his mast into the pitch of Manchester City's style. Like, this is who I am. I'm Erling Haaland. Do not expect me to come and collect that ball and do the Alvarez job. Don't expect that. Expect me to control that ball and lay it off and sprint into the box and wait for it to get back to me. And I will score if I get the opportunity to do that. That's his game. Don't put me on the right wing. Don't put me on the left wing. Don't ask me to drop into midfield. Certainly not often. Maybe occasionally. But is there room for that? Is there room for him to learn those traits? You know, he's still young. He's not even a fully, like, in the peak of his career yet. You got to factor that in. He's still at the low ends of 20s. What is he now? 23, 24? He's got a lot of learning that can still happen in his game for me. And, yeah, it was a standout performance in a negative way from Erling Haaland, but it's not the end of the world, because, like I said, mixed signals. Manchester City got all 3 points. They got all 3 points at the end of the day through no thanks to Erling Haaland, unfortunately. Well, yeah, there was thanks, because he got the assist. Let's. I'm being a bit overly critical here now. Let's keep it fair. But I still think there's more to come from him as a player. As a player, that's what I'm talking about. More to come from him this season, definitely. But I really want to see him try and evolve his game. Let's take his game to another level of not just being the goal machine, almost a little bit. I don't know. Is it selfish to think that you can't offer anything else? You know, there are performances from Erling Haaland where he's selfless. Do you know what I mean? Where he's just all about, he's a sacrificial performance, where he just goes into that game knowing that he's going to be man-marked out of the game by 2 players. You know, we saw it. Was it against Newcastle at the Etihad this season? I think we won that game 1-0 with Alvarez's rifled that into the top left-hand corner. If you remember that goal, and if you don't, go on YouTube it after this video. Erling Haaland was in the box being man-marked by their 2 centre-backs. I can't remember who it was who was started for Newcastle, but their 2 centre-backs marking Haaland, double-teamed. Alvarez with all this space in the world, I think it was Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden who finds him. Alvarez bursts into the box. The 2 centre-backs barely even bothered going to Alvarez, because they're like, he's not the threat. He is a threat, but this is the threat. This is the threat I'm marking. This big blonde Viking that I need to mark him out of the game. And what does that do? Give Alvarez all the space in the world. So these level of performances from Haaland, you're not going to get the goal and you're not going to get the assist and you're not going to get the numbers that are very attractive on the graphics from Erling Haaland, but it's a sacrificial performance that benefits the team. Yesterday, he wasn't man-marked out of the game. He did get opportunities. He did get space. And he didn't deliver. This is why his score is a 5 out of 10 for me. And I will always give him a respectful score if he's just being nullified. You know, if there's nothing he could have done about it, then there's nothing he could have done about it. But he could have done something to the game yesterday. He could have impacted it yesterday. But yeah, moving on from Haaland now. I'm telling you, he's scoring against United. He's scoring against United. It's going to happen. But Blues, over 100 in the building, 53 likes. If you could drop a like on the stream on your way out, please do. Really does help, and it's good to see you guys in the chat as well. Stephen Gent, who is over it. I always struggle with your name. And AK Samaralda's in there as well. Yeah, and Marin's just come back from something to eat. Hope you enjoyed. Oh, wait, no. Erling's just come back from a long layoff. I thought you said you were eating something. Sorry, mate. I completely misread you. Read your comment there. But you're right. He'll be back and sharp as ever. 100%, mate. 100%. Haaland will be back. Next week. Next week, I'm telling you. Come and join me for the midweek's videos that I'll no doubt be putting out. Of course, we've got Luton in the FA Cup coming up as well. That's a worrying game. That's a worrying game. Could Haaland start? For me, I wouldn't mind seeing Alvarez start that game, then rest Haaland for that game, and then start him in the Manchester derby. Make him even hungrier. Starve him a little bit, frustrate him, you know, like a dog, like he's in the hounds, he's in the kennels, like, let me out, I want to eat something, I want to eat something, I want to eat some Manchester United defenders, I want to score some fucking goals, you know, get him fired up for that Manchester derby, tease him a little bit. Hopefully that's the case, but come and join me for the preview tomorrow for the Luton game. We've got the Luton game on Tuesday, and then we've got the Manchester derby coming up as well as some midweek videos, no doubt as well. But yeah, thanks again for joining me in this stream. Player ratings, let me know your player ratings in the chat as well. If you're watching this video after the fact, let me know your player ratings as well. Do you agree with them? Do you think I'm right? Is there any that you would change? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.